Hi, what if I told you there is a fun and natural way to learn languages that doesn't involve memorizing long lists of vocabulary and grammar rules? In today's video, I'm going to show you this powerful method called comprehensible input that helps you learn languages the way your brain is wired to acquire languages, very similar to how you learned your native language. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to start using this method the right way without all the usual struggles. Are you guys ready? Let's get started. So what's wrong with traditional methods? People spend countless hours practicing grammar and memorizing long lists of vocabulary, yet they find it really hard to use them in a natural and a spontaneous way. And how often do we see people memorize all the vocabulary only to forget them right after their exam? Here is the thing, it's not your fault. Traditional methods aren't designed for real language acquisition, they are built for tests. Unfortunately, tests don't help you to speak, watch a movie, or enjoy a conversation with a native speaker. So, why aren't we doing better? It's not that we don't know. Over the last few decades, language acquisition researchers like Dr. Stephen Krashen have figured out why the traditional methods don't work. Real language acquisition is harder for schools to measure. The requirement for the schools and the teachers to give out scores that are easy to understand have led to exams with easy to grade exercises like fill in the blanks, sort the words, and other meaningless tests that have nothing to do with real language acquisition. As a result, teachers have to teach the things that will allow their students to pass the exam, which is really far away from real language acquisition. Why language learning is different from any other learning? Traditional language learning methods often fail to recognize the difference between learning and acquisition. Traditional method focuses on learning through conscious study, like memorizing long lists of vocabulary or grammar rules. Conscious study is slow and incapable of holding at once the complexity of a language. We can never hope to hold a conversation if we need to be constantly applying dozens of grammar rules and translate every word in our head. Language acquisition is not a conscious study. Acquired language in fluent speakers is subconscious knowledge. Not only acquired language works fast without having to make an effort to consciously think about grammar or vocabulary, but it is also effortless and natural. This is why language learning is different to any other learning like math or science. How did we learn our first language? Think about how babies learn their first language. They don't sit down with grammar books. They don't know the difference between a verb and an adverb. They simply listen to people around them and understand a little more each day. Eventually, they start speaking on their own. Without doing all the learning activities typical of adults learning a language, they still manage a 100% success rate at becoming native speakers. The only thing that children do at the beginning is listen to people around them and extract meaning. And guess what? This method works for adults too. All you have to do is consume a lot of comprehensible input. What is comprehensible input? By now, you would have guessed that the solution is to listen to a lot of content, and the method is called the immersion method, and you have to expose yourself to a lot of comprehensible input. Comprehensible input is input that you are receiving that you can understand. At the early stages, it can be as simple as someone pointing at something and saying what that is. By listening and watching content that's just slightly above your level, your brain will naturally start acquiring the language. With enough exposure, you will start using the language effortlessly. Scientific proof. So, is there any scientific proof for this method? Yes, there is a lot of science behind it. Language acquisition researchers like Dr. Stephen Krashen have studied this for decades and have found that the most effective way to acquire a language is through comprehensible input. I've attached a link to a video down below in the description. There are also other research studies that show the effectiveness of the immersion method. What we do on this channel, we create fun and entertaining content designed to give you plenty of comprehensible input at different levels, whether you're just starting out or really advanced. For beginners, we focus on simple and visual content that you can understand without knowing every word. As you progress, we introduce more complex situations and conversations to keep your learning engaging. From stories to everyday situations, everything is designed to immerse you in English in a way that feels natural and enjoyable. How to use our videos. To acquire language through our videos, the key is to simply watch and enjoy them. It is important to focus on the content rather than analyzing every word. Passive listening, like playing the video in the background or while sleeping, won't be effective. The input needs to be understandable, so ensure you follow along to stay engaged and enjoy the content. The more you enjoy, the more naturally you'll pick up the language. What about speaking and reading? I'll go more into detail in another video, but briefly, it's important to note that speaking is an output activity and not an input activity. When you're speaking, no new information is entering your brain, and if you start speaking before you've acquired enough language, then your brain might rely on patterns from your first language that can result in non-native usage, which can be really hard to fix later on. While reading is beneficial, starting it too early before sufficient listening practice can interfere with proper pronunciation acquisition. Ultimately, it comes down to what's most important to you. I'm still skeptical. If you're still skeptical of this method, please give this method a try to see for yourself if it works. Even in traditional studies, it is recommended to consume level appropriate content. We believe you can benefit a lot from listening to content that is both fun and engaging. In short, with comprehensible input, you can acquire English naturally just the way you acquired your first language. Our channel offers content tailored to your level, keeping you engaged and helping you to absorb English naturally. So, keep watching, immerse yourself in the language, and you'll be speaking English in no time. Thanks for joining us today, and don't forget to subscribe and check out more of our videos to keep learning. See you next time.